Peas on Moss is brought to you by Kimberly Schaub, a culinary scientist turned business developer. Over the past 4 years, the audience has downloaded episodes over 40,000 times, and we have 1,500 impressions across the website and a host of social media platforms. Will you consider contributing to the show to help keep it on air? Donations through Patreon help to offset the cost of web hosting, editing, and producing the various Peas on Moss offerings, from podcast episodes to videos, and every little bit helps. From corporate advertisement to sponsored content and private contributions. Reach out to me on peasonmoss.com for details. Mark Samuel is the founder of IWON Organics, and he's been the feature of a past Quick podcast. He and I chatted briefly between production runs about his intentions for 2022 and thoughts about 2021. I have really appreciated his pragmatic approach to entrepreneurialism and growth in the snack business. I hope you enjoy this quick bite. Well, hey, Mark, welcome back to the Peas on Moss podcast, Quick Bite. I'm super excited to wrap up 2021 with you. And, recently you've been posting some really great thought-provoking content on LinkedIn talking about how we're choosing to show up and anticipate for 2022. So I wanted to invite you on to the show real quick to just talk about where your head's at. You know, you've been in a couple of years of really expansive growth. You've grown your relationships and really helped challenge some of the tried and true attitudes in the food industry. And I wanted to ask you to share some of what you've gotten to share out with your followers.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'm ready to go when you are.
Cool. So something that we started talking about before we actually hit record is controlling the controllables in a time of volatility. And, we're tired. People are tired of circumstances right now. There seems to be a lot of headwinds. So what's your mindset going into the end of the year and looking into 2022 already?
Well, we're in a good position, knock on wood, as I say. We grew 100% this year. We plan to grow another 100% next year. We're looking at the supply chain delays, the obstacles that we saw facing us and everyone in 21 and what we expect to face us in 22, probably a little bit different than most. We feel like we got ahead of things. Maybe not at perfect timing, but we're definitely ahead of what I would consider as most. And we're prepared for 22 as best as we possibly can. So we're aware of potential delays in materials and things like that. So we're ordering accordingly. And we've prepared ourselves with each of our vendors, manufacturer partners, and had these conversations, which I would suggest to anybody, really just laying out what are the constraints, what are the needs, and what are the sort of the potential obstacles that we face so that we can overcome them together, and just having those conversations now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me double click on that. The whole commitment to your partners, whether they're your suppliers or your customers, to say, hey, it's tough out there. Supply chain delays are affecting everybody at every level. And I like that you assessed risks and prepared for those. What was it like to bring up those questions before, say, the supply chain issues really hit the fan? Did you seem like you were fear-mongering or panicking? Like, was that the reaction from your suppliers or customers, or how did you approach this with them?
That's a good question, and it should lean into the topic of the way you communicate and how you communicate with your partners, which is, there can't be fear, there can't be disappointment, and there can't be any inconsistency with the way you're communicating with them, as in how you were before this, how you are now, and how you're going to be in the future. I'm a big believer in consistency in relationships. And the minute you start teetering on reacting a certain way that's, in this case, not in your control, I think that causes some distraction to what could be a really strong, consistent relationship that you had before. So I don't think that there's much fear per se. When we got those initial, what I'd consider timeline responses, as far as, hey, here's an order. This time it's going to be, 7 weeks. You have to be accepting of this. You have to be understanding of the situation as a whole, understand that this isn't specific to you, understand that it's outside of the control of your vendor partner. And once there is that understanding consistency within the relationship, I believe you can get a lot more done, especially in the good times, right? Because as with anything, it's how you react during the bad times that really set the course for future opportunities.
I'm really glad you said it that way, because that's absolutely where we're seeing the kind of the truth of the partnership and the mentality or mindset that partners are coming forward with how they want to lead in the future. And this is kind of I think we're coming into that wave of who's going to survive this now are the ones who went in eyes wide open, knew who their partners were in this, and are rowing in the same direction. We're not fighting each other just to keep a reputation or a certain position. We're trying to survive, and I think recognizing that and then saying, "Hey, let's survive together. This doesn't have to be, one person on top or one brand on top. It can be that the industry can come out of this stronger," right?
Yeah, I think this is a bigger topic, more on the way that you're being led, whether it be from a founder and or operating partners and managers within an organization. Everyone wants to see consistency. They don't want to be a part of any panic. And again, it goes to that point of how you get through the bad times really is how you're showing face. So this could be a vendor partner, a manufacturing partner, an investor, your team, hiring, which are, again, the latter points being some of the most important is how are you reacting in difficult times? And so this is going to really bring up, right, rise up those that have the true leadership, sort of persona and impact to get through. And they're going to see, I believe that they're going to see some really great things at the end of it.
Yeah, I really always appreciate your perspective on what the big picture is. And, I think you're absolutely right. How we treat our internal partners, our own colleagues, also tells us how we're going to show up in the world and how we're going to present to customers, suppliers, and all of that. It is very much, a web that we weave. And you're absolutely right that this way that we're reacting now does set the tone for what the industry is going to do in the future and how we're going to show up. So when you're being, you're receiving information that perhaps prices or timing aren't going in the direction that you'd love them to go. We're not talking about massive margins constantly and just printing money. So how are you reacting and how are you talking to your internal teams?
Well, we're doing the things needed to continue, right? So if we're having a price impact as far as materials, raw materials, freight, we have to pass it along. We have to raise prices. So that's going to be item one. We started that, I want to say close to 4 months ago, which really doesn't take place until right now, because oftentimes price changes take about 90 days. This is not something we want to do. This is not something we enjoy doing, passing along to our retail partnerships and our customers who have been loyal. It's something we have to so that we can even be around to service our customers. A lot of times there was that, as far as this particular topic, it's, well, we'll just take the margin hit. Majority of companies in our business, CPG, don't have the proper margin as it is, let alone taking another 10% margin hit. So you've got to be fair to your business, which is your team and everybody involved, from them all the way down to your customer, the most important person within the business. So that's item number one. And then as far as everything that sort of connected to that, again, it's just being understanding. I mean, you've had 3 separate price increases by just one vendor alone. And if you can imagine, it would be easy to react negatively, as in to say, well, you just did that to us 4 weeks ago. But again, you got to go back and be super objective and say it's not them. It's also being passed along to them. If anybody just saw one snapshot, if anybody, if we just talked about one specific thing for us, we're in the legume business, peas. It's not just pricing has increased because X. If anybody knew what was happening with the harvest from last year, they would immediately expect to see the email. So stay super objective and try to keep your emotions in check, and good things come from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing is think of the big picture, be aware of what's happening in the world, watch your reactions, partner with the right people and businesses, and go in, eyes wide open and head first. Don't try to take it I don't know, to the side, because it's gonna come. So look at it head on and go for it. Right.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for just jumping in for this quick 10-minute chat about what your mindset is going into next year, and just how this past year went. It's really great to get to stay connected to IWON Organics and to celebrate your success, snack on the snacks. So, okay, so remind us now, a year later, where can we find IWON Organics?
But we appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you following up, and all the good stuff. IWON Organics on our website, Amazon, and then as far as Thrive for online stuff, GoPuff online, and then retail, physical. We're West Coast Whole Foods. We are Sprouts. We are Kroger East. We're now Ralph's. All the regional players, Air Ones, Earth Fare, Jimbo's, just launched in Wegmans. Coming out more east right now. So we got a lot of cool stuff. So check us out online on our website. Also has a store finder, so you can take a look there. And then of course, nutrition supplements, vitamin shop. So a lot of cool stuff. Excellent.
Well, we'll let you get back to your adventures, because I know you're at a manufacturing site right now. So best wishes, good vibes for those runs. It's always exciting to get to see your product come off the line. So enjoy that, and happy holidays.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. You too.
Thanks. You probably noticed that we recorded this episode in December, and it's mid-January. Well, what can I say? It's really been busy. I'm keeping room for this podcast, but and I've reduced the episode postings to monthly in order to be able to pursue an MBA in Sustainable Innovation at the University of Victoria while also maintaining a full-time job.